What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. It's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr., the Brand Doctor, with my man, Oais Qureshi from the Visual
What's
Cue.
up,
What's going
everyone?
on, dude?
What's going on, Henry? How are you, man?
Doing awesome, man. Today's going to be a good conversation. We've done our prep work over here, and I'm really excited to talk about this. It's all about how to outsource to scale and how to outsource properly. And as a result of that, how do you stay in your zone of genius so that you can really get the momentum and the results that you're looking for in your business? So there's a few issues over the years of me doing this personally. I'm sure you've struggled with some of this stuff as well as you grew your practice. But a lot of the issues that I've dealt with and I see my clients deal with is a few things. One is they're doing things that they know they shouldn't be doing, i.e. building out funnels when they know nothing about funnels, designing their own logos on Fiverr or getting somebody to do it for $5, right? Writing copy that shouldn't be written by you. Should be written by a copywriter, right? I think that leads to the second issue, which is they don't know how to onboard help. They just don't know how to bring in the right person for the job. And that I struggled with for years because think of it. I kept saying the same thing in my head over and over and over again. Nobody's going to do it better than me, so I might as well do it myself, which is the biggest crock of shit ever, and which held me back 5 years in accelerated growth until I finally got over that. Things started to really pan out, but I had to learn the hard way on how to onboard the right client. So onboard the right person for the job. So we're going to get into that later. Yeah, you wrote this one down. Go ahead, say it.
Yeah. Look, you're spending more time firefighting instead of leading the business. And I still I would say I still got the scars for it.
Yeah.
And I went through those, it's growing pains, but then at the same time, look, if I was to go back in time, or if I was to send a message back in time to myself 10 years back, I would basically say, okay, well, what's the starting point? Just make sure you have a process around this. Make sure you've mapped things out. So, and the reason behind that is that, fast forward 3, 4, 5, 6 years, as your business volume is increasing, what's going to end up happening is that everyone's going to get frustrated in that equation because you don't have a streamlined process. And now you're coming back in and really trying to jerry rig, and before even jerry rigging, as a result of that, you're constantly having to come in and figure out where the issues are. There are cracks across the board, at every step of the process, and
it's like playing Twister with a garden hose
falling apart. Yeah.
It's like playing Twister with a garden hose with like 17 leaks in it. Yeah. And you're trying to shut all those leaks down. I get it, man. I remember that, it was always something, right? It was always something. I remember when I was in the printing industry, right? Doing a lot of design work and then getting it printed. I didn't have a really good, at the time, approvals process, right? So shit would get printed with like typos, right? And I would have to eat that work, right? And it sucked. And then finally, I had very stringent approval policy and framework, so we could not go to print until I got a sign off. And it specifically stated, if you signed off on this and there's a typo on it, we're not responsible. Right. Yeah. And that saved our ass quite a bit because even with that, shit went through and there was typos. So, but we covered ourselves at that point. Right. So But I remember that frustration was horrible. I just want to give a shout out to one of our routine viewers. Sahami L's in the house. What's going on? How are you? Who else is in the house? Drop it in the comments. Let us know who's here. And if you have any questions regarding this topic, I really encourage you, because here's two people that have 25 to 30 years experience in outsourcing help that I believe we can really help you get some of your questions answered. So please don't hesitate to ask questions here. We were talking about, there's another point, another big problem that I see, even I struggle with this to this day, is retention and cognitive ability.
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying to remember what I listened to this morning, and I was struggling with that. And it's because I got 3 different things that I'm working on today, and it's tough for me to retain it all, right? So we have some resources later on that we're going to share with you to help you retain the information and retain the things that are important to you each day. So it gives you that bandwidth of creativity that you need to grow and to build this business and brand, right? So, and then I'm going to kick this one back over to you, always. This is one of your favorites as well.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out. What you put in, what the instructions that you give to whoever you're sourcing out to, that's what they're going to produce. So again, all of the different problems that we've stated before this particular point, and the solutions that we're going to give you in the next segment, it all alludes to this. It's like what you put in, that's what you'll get out. So roll with that. Gigo, garbage in, garbage out.
Gigo. Oh, that's a good one. I never heard that one before. Sami says, I learned so much from these videos, so I made it a goal to watch every live. Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for tuning in.
There's 2 books. There are 2 books that should I mention it here right now, or should we mention it in the solutions?
Yeah, let's do it. Just what go ahead.
So one is Traction by Gino Wickman for EOS. And then the other one is Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. So both of them essentially talk about the process area and the right people in the right seats. So
That's a great book.
Vision, process, all of those things. So I mean, I think those are great resources for anyone that's in business, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you lead a team of 10 to 20 people or larger. Those are 2 good resources to start off with.
Definitely. All right. So quick little message here, and then we're going to jump into the solution part of this episode and really give you some actionable, easy to execute ways to outsource more properly so you could stay in your zone of genius. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, always. So kick off the first question for our viewers when it comes to getting ready to outsource for your business.
This is that Stephen Covey keeps with, what is it? Always have the end in mind, right? Mm-hmm. What is the goal? What does your end goal look like?
Absolutely. So what goal are you trying to accomplish? So let's give an example, right? My goal is to generate more leads into my funnel of qualified people. So that's my goal. Now, how do I achieve that goal? Well, I need a strategy. I need a plan. So that's where we start to think in terms of Instagram paid shoutouts, Instagram ads, LinkedIn strategy, using Sales Navigator, This is where we start to get granular in the plan, right? Well, what are the expectations now that we have the plan? This is very, very important. I think we skip this sometimes and we hire people off the cuff without without the defined expectations. And then we are disappointed because they didn't come through, right? So how many times have I done that? Oh my God, forget it. How much money I burned on making that mistake, forget it. You know, I'd have a Rolls Royce in my driveway.
And how many opportunities you lost as a result of that? Think about that, right? It's one thing to actually have the opportunities in line and be working and messing those up, but the ones that you're losing because you're so busy, again, just going back and firefighting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, when you have that bandwidth for clarity and you can really focus, that's when you're going to make better decisions, right? You're not going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be ahead of it. Correct. And that's where you start to bring in the right people. So we'll get there in a second. Don't worry, guys. Hang in there because we got some real good stuff coming up. All right. So first step is identifying what goal you're trying to accomplish. Second step is the plan or the strategy that is going to help you get there. Then 3 is setting expectations. What do you expect to get out of this? Okay. And then this is where we start to get really granular, and it's all about the measurement of success. So, Owais, I know you're passionate about this. So talk to us about the measurement of success.
Yeah. So what does success look like at the end of that engagement? Is it, hey, we've completed the project on time, on budget, and of course with the quality that's required, or we over delivered what we under promised, right? Things of that nature. Or it could be a revenue metric, it could be a profit metric. So that's something for each and every one of you to define exactly what does all of that look like, and then break that down from on a step-by-step process in terms of how you get to that. So
good point. Yeah, good point. We're doing this right now with our YouTube strategy. So we're leveraging YouTube Shorts to help us grow my channel. And when I was introduced the strategy, I said, okay, what could define a measurement of success so that we could keep doing this strategy? And it was just watching the subscribers go up, right? And we've been watching it over the past 3 weeks of doing it, and the subscriber count just keeps going up. It's not a massive uptick, but it's sustainable enough for me to say we need to keep doing this because the views of the shorts keep going up. So are my subscribers. So keep doing it, right? Keep doing it. Okay. So now the next question here, guys, is this: who do you actually need to execute this goal? Okay. Who do you actually need to hire to execute this goal? So I like to keep this real because we are making some major changes in our marketing at Unique Designz as we speak, right? And we're out there looking for different experts and different categories of social platform to help us, right? So for example, I'm interviewing some technical people, right? I'm looking for somebody to actually run some paid advertising, right? So the question that I'm asking is, what results can you promise, right? Now, the short answer of that is, well, we can't promise any result, right? Because we don't know how the ad is going to perform, right? I get that. But let's just say if we could promise a result, what does that look like for you, right? So for us, same thing always, right? People come to me and ask me, well, what result can you promise? Well, I don't know if what we do is going to help you scale to $1 million. I don't. But here's what I can promise: that you will have a comprehensive system to getting you a better brand. You will not have to do any of the heavy lifting where my team is going to do all of that for you. Right? So these are the tangible promises, right? You'll always know what's coming up next. You'll never be surprised, because I don't like to surprise my clients unless it's with a sack of cash. Right? So those are the things that I could promise. I could promise clear communication. Right? Don't forget about those, right? So I'll give you a quick example. When I was trying to elevate my brand accelerator workshop document, I hired somebody to come in to really help me level that up. And he said, listen, we're going to be able to consolidate some things. We're going to be able to break this down into 3 pieces instead of having it all clumped into one. And now your clients are going to appreciate this process more because it's all broken down instead of just blobbed into one. And I was like, and at the end of that engagement, that's exactly what he delivered, which was amazing. And we were both happy. So that's what I mean by just ask that question. Don't be afraid to ask that question to an outsourcer. What results can you promise? And just let them talk. Yeah. All right. Next question is, go ahead, Oasis. This is what you should be asking your outsourcers. So people that you plan on or are considering to hire.
That's right. So what you should be asking what you should be asking your outsourcer is, values. Are you guys aligning on values? And
so value-based questions, right? Not in the selling sense, but in, does your values, the way you run your life and business, align with theirs?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you have somebody that doesn't value time on your team, let me know how that works out for you.
Or they just, or they just don't honor their commitments, right? They don't honor the level of, or they just don't go out of their way to make sure that things are done correctly. So
listen, I will hire a B-level outsourcer if they align with my values, because over time I could make them an A-level team member, because chances are they're going to be coachable and they align with the same things that are important to me. Right? When you have people like that on your team, a lot easier to move mountains. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
All right. Exactly. So
I ran into this process just very recently where I had to let someone go. And this was, this wasn't even someone that was outsourcing to. This is someone that was part of my team, a senior member of my team. But slowly but surely, the values that this person once had, for whatever reason, has now started becoming, he slowly started clashing with what our core values and core culture within our agency and our team is.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest thing is that consistency, being able to follow through on what you say you're going to do.
Well, and know that is bound to happen. We had a designer on our team for close to 3 years, and she wanted to have something that was more of a 9-to-5 position, right? And I could not give that to her, right? Because our work is very sporadic, right?
Yeah.
So she went elsewhere and got it like a 9-to-5 gig, in-house with another company. And that was great. I was happy to actually see her go, because I saw it too, like the quality of work. It seemed rushed. I could tell the effort wasn't being put in, and I started to see it. And it wasn't shortly after that where she came to me and said, Henry, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, it's all you had to say. It's all you had to say.
Yeah. At
But
least there was some honesty there.
yeah, you gotta, that's the biggest thing, guys, is to be open and honest
Yeah.
with what you're looking for. And there's no wrong. Like if you're like a turnaround crazy like I am, where, you know, I want everything done within 24 hours, right? Because
You did it yesterday.
right, the quicker I could get that out for a client or myself, the quicker we can monetize it, right? Make money with it, right? And that's exactly. Always been my focus. Is that's why speed is so important, you know? And so you got to have somebody on the other end that's all about that. Otherwise, it's, you know, there's going to be a huge blockage.
Right. And I liked what you said earlier, Henry, about, you know, the fact that you're willing to bring on someone that's a B-level resource, and you can coach them up. So here's one thing that I want everyone in the audience to really focus on, is that when you're hiring someone, you have now become the manager. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to micromanage, but it's incumbent upon you to lead and accountability. You know, so accountability starts at the top. That's something else that we always talk about in our team. So it's incumbent upon me, and it's incumbent upon each one of you to make sure that you are leading now.
Yeah.
That just because there might be a contractor or an outsourced resource, whatever it is, but you know, come in with the mindset that you're now becoming a mentor to these people. You can potentially help them develop professionally where they may be lacking, and that will, you know, and when they notice, and this happens subconsciously, when they notice that you're helping them, guess where they're going to be more invested towards?
Exactly.
The projects that they're working on.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So this leads to the next question is, will you need a standard operating procedure for your outsourced help? Okay. And if the answer is yes, then what is the process? Okay. And this was absolutely genius when I first was introduced to it, yet it was so simple. And all you have to do is figure out exactly the experience that a client has when they sign up with you, right? And go through that process yourself and record the entire experience. So for example, when we get a design job in from one of our branding on demand clients, it comes in through a questionnaire, and then that questionnaire needs to get processed through a system. So what I did when I first started this process was I submitted a job as a client, and then I recorded me taking that intake and putting it into Basecamp through our system and showing the designer exactly what I wanted, so that that project can be outputted back to the client for approval within 36 hours and done in a very high quality. And then I gave that recording to the team member and said, go and replicate this. Here's the project. And they did. And I did that a few times, and then they got comfortable with the process. And then I said, okay, now you can get client work. Now I can assign jobs to you because now you know my process. So there's different softwares out there that you can use. Loom is a really good one, and it's free, Loom, loom.com, where you can record your screen and do voiceover and explain what exactly you're looking for.
It's been super helpful. And don't always confine these to only people that you're hiring. This is something that you can actually send, you know, you can use Loom videos to prospective clients. You can send Loom videos as a, you know, just a learner video to a specific client around, like, whether it be about their website or if you're in that particular space or not. But whatever, you know, whatever you're doing, I mean, I think that using Loom, and the fact that even the free version tracks when your recipient has opened it, It's a great data, because now at least you get informed that someone's watched it.
Yes, so important, so important. And then there's platforms that you could use to build your SOPs on, which is, we mentioned this last week, but Basecamp and Trello and Asana and Monday.com, like these are all ways where you can, all right, take each step and apply them to a software platform so that you could check those steps off. And then once you have all the steps checked, the job is done, right? So the checks and balances are there, so nothing falls through the crack. This is the depth of process that needs to take place for you to outsource properly. So this is if you're hiring an outsource vendor that doesn't have a process, right? That doesn't have their own process. Now, if you hire them and they have their own process that they're going to plug you into, then that is something that you need to ask. So the first thing that I'll ask them is, do you have a process to get me the results that I'm looking for? Yes, I do. Please explain. I'm all ears. And I sit there with my arms folded and I listen. This helps me know whether or not these folks got their shit together.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're probably going to come to you with a pretty solid process. Right? Look at Chick-fil-A. We just talked about this, right? Yeah. I'm not a huge Chick-fil-A guy, but I've eaten there a few times. But man, is that a smooth operation. And I just learned a couple days ago that Chick-fil-A is actually more profitable than McDonald's, and they're not even open on Sundays. And they have way less stores.
Yeah.
More profitable than McDonald's.
So what do you think is attributed to that?
Process.
There you go.
Their standards and their process for sure.
Yeah. And that translates to a good customer experience, and that's what keeps them coming back. Repeat business.
Yeah. Another great tool that you could use to kind of map out your process is MindMeister. I know, Oasis, you use MindMeister a lot, and I just got introduced to it a couple weeks ago, and I've been using it just to help me take my thoughts of the day and put them out there into something that I could help me with my retention, right? Yeah. But MindMeister is, okay, you start with this, then what, then what, then what, then what. Yeah. And next thing you know, you have this beautiful mind map of what actually needs to be done.
Exactly. It goes from macro to micro, and it helps you organize a lot of the thoughts that again, let's say you have an upcoming project, or even let's say you're starting a new business, and you've got it all in your head. It's like, oh yeah, this all looks great. This all looks great. You're brainstorming. But until it's out on paper, you're not going to be able to take any action on that, and you're not going to be able to drive that in a way that's well organized. So MindMeister has been instrumental in the way that I've been able to organize our own processes, but then also the processes or just even doing the workshops with my clients and getting everything out in terms of like structuring their brand. So it has been phenomenal in helping us just organize everything.
Yeah. So I just threw it up on the screen. MindMeister, MindMeistr is it? There's an app version which I'm using. It's super easy to use, and again, it helps me kind of just map out my process. You can also use Google Docs, like just whip out a Word doc on Google Docs and just step 1, step 2, step 3, like outline it like you would outline a speech. Right?
Yeah.
And then just take that outline and plug it into Basecamp, plug it into Monday, plug it into Asana. And there you go. And then you could then you could take your Loom video and record you going through the process. Right? That's how you onboard an outsourcer very easily, way more efficiently, and then you're going to get a more accurate output from them. They're going to be appreciative because now they have something to follow, right? So that's huge. So let me ask you guys, What would your biz look like if you stayed in your zone of genius and outsourced everything else that needed someone else to do at a way higher standard than you could ever do yourself? What would your business look like? What if you had the right people in the right positions for your business? How smooth? How much less of a headache? How many less fires would you be putting out? It's so important, guys, because if you're not in your zone of genius, you're not doing optimal work. And that's horrible. I don't know how else to explain it. I've been there. I remember where I would get these deliveries to my house of print collateral that I'd have to bring to a client. And it would take me round trip 90 minutes. That's 90 minutes I was away from making money. And that killed growth.
I bet.
Right. And then I just started tacking on. I had to learn the hard way. And I was like, you know what? Let's just drop ship this stuff to their establishment, because what am I saving? $60? I'm losing $150 by doing it myself.
Monetize your time, guys.
That's it. You know, time, people disagree with this, but time is money, guys. You know, time is money. So, you know, what's taking you away from your zone of genius is actually costing you quite a bit of money. Yeah. We got John Tubiolo in the house. It would be great. I struggle with finding the right people, but I think it's more of a trust issue than anything. Yeah, so that's a great point, John. I'm happy you brought this up, and that's why we talked earlier about really qualifying that vendor and making sure that their values align with yours, because that's where you're going to get that trust from them. Exactly. Because you're going to feel like they're one of you, right? They're one of you. And John, I could give you all the tips and tricks in the book. There's always going to be one that falls through the crack. But here's something that I want you to pay attention to. It's just like the old dating days. I kissed a lot of frogs before I found my princess. And what would happen in my dating career used to happen in my business career as well, where I would get burned by a girl, and then the next girl I met, I ran her through the gauntlet because I thought she was going to treat me the way the previous girl did, when that is not fair to that girl. It's the same thing in business. Just because you got burnt by this guy or this gal doesn't mean the next one's going to burn you.
And, you know, to add to that, Henry, it needs to start with us. And that's why I keep saying accountability starts at the top, right? There are things that you cannot change within that prospective employee, within that prospective contractor, within that prospective romantic partner. But once you have your own specific standards set, those are that's the gauntlet that you do need to put them through, is that, do you meet these standards or you don't?
That's it. And you shouldn't feel bad about them at all.
Not at all.
It should be like, this is my level of standard. Can you exceed it, or can you live up to it? And if you can't, if you don't think you're able to, you're not a bad person. You're just not a good fit for this team. Right. And I've had to have that conversation in the past too. And you know what? When you come at them like that, it's a lot softer than barking at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause you gotta remember, you're people too. They're people too. And exactly. You know, the coin could be flipped very quickly, because as a business owner, you are a vendor to your clients. So how would you want them to treat you?
Correct.
Right. So it goes, that's that old saying, right? Treat people the way you want to be treated. And so, but I think what entrepreneurs struggle with the most is not taking the time to vet, or not knowing how to vet the right outsourced people. So a lot of times people go for the best of the best, and that person turns out to be a disaster because their values aren't aligned with the culture. And so I've just seen a tremendous amount of positivity and way better result when I hired people based off of their value system than their actual skill set. Yeah, I'm not going to hire a Z level client outsourcer, because then it's just too much of a learning curve, and there's too much training. Like, I want to get the best I can get, and if that's a B, I'll take it, because I know that there's potential in that person.
Yeah. You can groom them.
Yeah. I see. John says here, sometimes I feel like it's finding a needle in the haystack. I often wonder if my standards or expectations are too high. Another great point. Oh man. Yeah. I struggled with this the other day. Honestly, I'm like, am I asking too much here? I literally I was going through that. Like,
never be apologetic about that. You know, I will say your work is a reflection of your standards. So if you have not taken the opportunity to list out what those standards look like, you're not going to be able to filter in and filter out who's right and who's wrong. You know, who's a good fit and who's not a good fit for being a part of your team.
I'll tell you this, and this is something that we didn't really talk about this episode, but it's worth bringing up. We, as entrepreneurs, I think one of the biggest characteristics we need to have that allow us to become successful is patience. Is patience. You know, I would, if you find a candidate that's close, or on the dot of what you're looking for, you have to understand that they're not going to deliver 100% of the time, every single time. They're human beings. They're not machines. And that's something you have to take into consideration, right? I think finding the best that you can, as far as outsourcer, somebody that you trust, is the first step. So if that takes a couple of conversations, then so be it, right? But if the quality of work starts to dip, or it's not at your level, if you invest in people, that patience needs to be infused into the relationship, because they need to understand over time what's solid, what you expect, and what you don't, what you will not tolerate, right? And that takes time. That's why, for example, it's a silly example, but I mentioned the other day that I'm a subscriber to Stitch Fix, and I get clothes delivered to my house every month, right? And I pick what I want, and I send back the rest. And I've been doing it for 7 months. I have yet to have to send any piece of clothing back. And they keep asking me every time they send me a box, do you want a different stylist? And I said, no, I want the same person, because this person now knows my style. That's why I keep every damn stitch, because over the past 7 months, we've created this I don't know what she looks like, but I know her name's Jillian. She knows what I like. Right. And so my team knows what I like. So when I get something that's way off the mark, there's got to be something wrong.
Yeah.
There's something that I didn't communicate, because they typically bring me back A-rate work. right? So I always reflect to self. I am not pointing the finger. And we actually went through this the other day. I'll give you a quick example. When my team's designing brands for my clients, we go through a stylescape process. And this is a real cool process where we start to tease out different ideas of brand identity, right? And my team has been really good at bringing me 3 different concepts, 3 very different, unique concepts based on the strategy, right? And they knock it out of the park every time. Then when we finalize those and we get into the logo design process, it's always a slow start. I always get a set of logos, usually version 1 of logos, which are like not even close to my expectation. And I get frustrated. Not because of them, but because of me. So we figured out what the problem was. See, before we start the stylescape process, I sit down with my team and do a kickoff. This is the results of the brand strategy. Here's the brand strategy doc that I created. Here's what we need to create out of it. And so I'm now the art director. I'm the creative director of this project, right? So I get very clear in that kickoff meeting what my expectations are for the stylescapes. That's why they kick ass. Now, when we go from stylescapes to logo, I don't have that conversation. I don't have a separate conversation of my expectations for logo. That was the problem. That's why we always had a slow start to logo design. So now what I do is I put the same amount of effort I do into step 2 as I do in step 1. And now when my team develops logos, the initial concepts are outstanding because I put the same amount of effort in. But I didn't see that at first. I was like, well, we did the kickoff. They should know better. They should know from the kickoff meeting what I'm looking for a logo. But no, that's not the case. So I went back.
What was your process around recognizing that?
Holy shit.
Say, okay, well, hey, this is the gap.
Yeah. So my coach, I was complaining to my coach, and my coach was like, let's back up a sec. Take me through the process. And I took him, and he says, bingo. Why aren't you doing this for logo? And I was like, holy shit, I don't know why. And then I told him, I said, I thought the kickoff meeting would cover stylescapes, logo, and everything else down the pike that needs to be designed. And he goes, clearly that's not the case.
No.
So
not at all.
That's how I recognized it. That's how we implemented very quickly. And now we come up with, the team comes up with phenomenal concepts right out of the gate. And that makes us more efficient. So again, I want you guys to catch, before we wrap up, I want you guys to catch the theme here. And it's preparation.
Exactly.
It's preparation. That's the common denominator.
Yeah.
The more you have a system, a process in place, or the more your outsourcer has a system and process in place, the better the result or outcome. Yeah. But you have to prep. You have to prep the questions. You got to come with good questions.
And
yeah.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I was just saying we discussed all of that earlier, those questions. So don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Yeah. No, but I mean, the fact that you said preparation and knowing what to expect, I think is a big piece of that is once you have all of these things mapped out, and once you have all your procedures documented, you're now going in with the sense that someone else can come in and repeat it. Replicate that. You're also able to now predict what's going to happen next, and you're also able to set that expectation for someone that you're providing a service to. And guess what all that does, Henry? That's going to create, that establishes trust. That establishes a peace of mind. That reduces risk and reduces uncertainty and alleviates that anxiety. All of those different emotions that tie directly into brand. So you
Exactly.
see how important having a good process is, and how that aligns with a good reputable brand.
Totally. And it all comes back to building trust.
Yeah.
When you have this stuff embedded into your process, into your brand, into your business, your audience feels that.
Yeah, it
Because
engenders trust.
you're radiating, and your frequency is at a way different level than somebody who's just scrambling to get their shit together.
Yeah.
So very,
it
very
projects that
important.
level of confidence, not just in the way that you're coming in to present your business, but I mean it's a culmination of your entire brand.
Exactly. Beautifully put. Well, guys, we got to wrap up. Thank you so much. We got John Tubiolo in the house today. We have Sahami as usual. Thank you so much for joining. There's a bunch of other people here too that I see Facebook user as their thing. So I can't really, I don't know exactly who you are. Keep up the information. So I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in live. Again, we do these every Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Please join us live. We would love to have you. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, hit that subscribe button. And please, if you have questions, if you have any further topics that you want us to cover in future episodes, we would love to get that information from you. So either drop it in the comments here on YouTube or on Facebook, or you could shoot me a DM on Instagram at @theBrandDR, and we will make sure that we cover these important topics, because our goal here is to help you grow a profitable and reputable personal brand online, and really help you figure out ways that you can monetize your expertise in a way that is streamlined versus trying to do it my way, which it took me 14 years to figure out. So if I can help you flatten that learning curve, that's what I'm going to do. So,
shorten that distance.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other things. I don't think so. So I think that we're going to wrap that up for here. So again, guys, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next show real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.